If it happens, Bud Crawford, oh, absolutely. We'll be there, Stephen A. We'll see Bud Crawford and Canelo. And I want to see that fight. But I would rather see him fight Benavidez. I agree with you.
Ending punches, like just the whole stat. Crawford is leading. And so I do think that it's a tough fight, but I will lean more towards Crawford simply of this, skill set.
I ain't gonna be able to sustain throughout the fight. Watch.
Canelo Alvarez has been warned. Live on national TV, Shannon Sharpe says facing Terence Bud Crawford could be the biggest mistake of his career. And the boxing world is split. Is Canelo in danger? Or will he prove everyone wrong? Let's break it down. Shannon Sharpe didn't hold back when talking about Canelo versus Crawford. On air, he warned Canelo that Crawford may be smaller at 147 pounds, but he's been sparring bigger men his whole career and beating them. Now that Crawford is moving up in weight, Shannon says he's even more dangerous. His warning to Canelo was clear. If you underestimate Crawford, you could be walking into the fight that changes your legacy forever.
Great fighters, they're not going to give me my due because I'm going to have 3 or 4 losses. And that's what's happening. Guys won't fight anybody that the fans want to see, or a fighter that's deserving. You're absolutely right. David Benavidez deserved the fight Canelo, but Canelo doesn't want to fight him because he knows there's a greater chance of him losing versus Benavidez versus Bigger Charlo. And so that's what, now, am I going to go see if it happens, Bud Crawford? Oh, absolutely. We'll be there, Stephen A. We'll see Bud Crawford and Canelo. And I want to see that fight. But I would rather see him fight Benavidez. I agree with you.
Stephen A. Smith added another layer. He argued that boxing legends often get criticized for not fighting the toughest challengers. He pointed to David Benavidez, saying that's the fight fans truly wanted for Canelo. But instead, Alvarez seems to be looking elsewhere, possibly because he knows the risk. Still, Stephen A. admitted if Canelo versus Crawford happens, the world will tune in. He wants the fight, but deep down, he believes Benavidez should have been first.
For instance, when he fought the guy that he lost to just recently.
Bivol,
yeah. Shout out to Bivol. He wasn't really able to find that niche there, but in Spurs, you can see him adapting, right? And so the biggest difference between Bivol and Crawford is the size difference and the power. Even though Bivol was an ultimate boxer, he still was able to keep him off him with the sheer power and strength. But with Crawford, I think that it'll be challenging for Canelo to get around the skill set, but it wouldn't be challenging for him to be able to endure the pain. And so that's what Canelo would, because the mindset too is, if you can't hurt me, no matter what you do, I'm going to keep coming forward. So if Canelo could adapt that mindset, take the shots, because he's going to be throwing, and if you look at the stats too, in terms of punch output, in terms of landing punches, like just the whole stat, Crawford is leading. And so I do think that it's a tough fight, but I will lean more towards Crawford simply of this, skill set.
Is this the biggest fight for his legacy? If obviously he wins, I think
Crawford.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it would be the biggest win. But given the fact that a lot of people, I think, expect Canelo to win because of the weight, where do you rank this in comparison to that huge fight with Errol Spence?
So if Canelo wins, it would be one of his most top tier wins, but it would also be expected. So I don't know if it would take the umph off of it, rather the other way around, because of the size difference and what all Canelo has been accomplishing for the last however many years,
Former world champion Daniel Jacobs broke it down technically. He acknowledged Canelo's power and experience, but highlighted Crawford's dangerous adaptability. Jacobs explained that Bud can switch styles mid-fight, confuse his opponents, and shut down their strengths, while Canelo survived the bombs of Gennady Golovkin. Jacobs believes dealing with Crawford's precision, reflexes, and fight IQ is a completely different test. That's why Jacobs leans toward Crawford's skill set as the deciding factor.
He need to put that pressure on himself. He's done what no one's ever done before. 2-time undisputed world champion. So why not just enjoy? But obviously you want to go for that next challenge. Now for him, he wants to go for that Canelo. I would advise him not to go for that. Yeah. But if he's the man and he knows how good he is himself. So I can't really say to him that do this or do that. So really,
he believes in his skills. He feels
he believes in his skill. We can't answer for him. We let him go and do it. You know what I'm saying? And we all might be wrong. He might be even stronger than Canelo. He might pack the weight on well that he might do really well in there. So look, regardless,
you fought them both. Like, what are the differences between them? Obviously, it's way.
Canelo's strong and he's easily hit. Very easily hit, very easily. Compared to when I fought against Crawford, I couldn't even hit clean. So really, that's the difference. And they both hit hard. Because and you could see the strength. You know, when I was fighting against Crawford, I didn't think Crawford was that strong, but when he kind of moved me around a little bit, he is very strong as well. So look, but why does he need to give that much weight? He's pound for pound #1 in the world. Why does he have to go up and fight Canelo?
I don't
prove anything.
Canelo would say payday, but Crawford wants to be 3-time undisputed. And if he does that, oh my goodness.
Wow, I mean, that'll be unreal. But look, if he believes in himself, yes, go for it. But don't do it if he's got second thoughts. If he's got second thoughts, don't do it. If he has to be 100% confident, and listen, I'll even go and help him for that if I have to. You know what I mean? Because look, I love Crawford. I think he's a lovely guy. Because I got to know him when I trained with him away from the boxing ring, away from boxing, and the guy's he's a diamond. You know what I mean? So if I can help him in any way, I'd love to do that. But look, but if I was him, just enjoy what you've got now, and don't take no risks.
Oladipo gave a unique perspective. He argued that Crawford doesn't just hurt fighters with raw power. It's his timing and accuracy that make his punches devastating. Opponents don't see the shots coming until it's too late. Oladipo says that Canelo, no matter how tough, can be outmaneuvered by discipline and patience. And since patience is Crawford's specialty, he believes Bud has exactly what it takes to frustrate and outthink.
Terence, people don't understand. He got your bombs and he's smart.
Yes.
He don't waste no punches, man.
They won't waste that.
And he's really smart, man, when it comes to that boxing game. But it was me, and I'm training him.
Yeah.
I would have him frustrating Canelo. What I would do with him, I would hit him with some good shots, combination shots, because Canelo got to be set to throw punches.
That's right.
That's right. You know what I mean? If Crawford boxing move, you don't like nobody to boxing move. And that's what I think Crawford's going to do.
Trainer BOXI Ennis praised Crawford's efficiency. He pointed out that Bud doesn't waste punches. Every shot has a purpose. This, he says, shows Crawford's high boxing IQ. By conserving energy and striking only when the timing is right, Crawford wears down opponents round by round. Ennis believes this discipline will be key against Canelo, where every mistake can cost you.
What are your thoughts on that Canelo versus Crawford fight? How do you see that fight going, and what's your prediction?
That's a very, very good fight. Two great fighters. I grew up admiring them my whole life, so I'm excited for that fight. I think Crawford is a hell of a fighter. If it goes the distance, he might be able to get that decision win. But I think if there's a knockout, then it might be Canelo who's getting the knockout win. But I'm ready to watch the fight. I'm going to be a big fan that night, and just be rooting for both guys. They're both great fighters.
Rising star Diego Pacheco offered a balanced view. He said Crawford's best chance is to win on points with a sharp defense and combinations. But he also warned about Canelo's signature power, especially to the body. If Canelo lands clean, he could score a knockout for Pacheco. The fight comes down to pace. Will Crawford control distance and rhythm? Or will Canelo drag him into heavy exchanges?
But he fought a very, very good Canelo. I don't think that Crawford is fighting the best Canelo anymore. Again, the Canelo I'm talking about, second Golovkin fight, I thought was fucking incredible. That was... When was that? Jeez, that feels like a long, long time ago. Second Golovkin fight was 2018. So I'm saying peak Canelo, although still very, very good people, peak Canelo for me was 6 years ago. It's a long time, or 5.5 years. That's a long time. In fact, exactly 15th of September. So it'll be to the day 5 years. Have I got them? What was I talking about? Sorry, almost 7 years ago. Jeez, that's a long time ago. Where some might say peak Crawford was Errol. So, shit, I didn't realize how long ago that was. And he's clearly not that same guy anymore. It clearly isn't. He's no longer fighting elite fighters. I mean, unless you're going to say William Skull was elite. Edgar Berlanga, no. Munguia, no. Jamel, no. John Ryder, no. A third Golovkin fight, no. So he's no longer fighting the best, but he still is very good, and he's still a top 168 pounder. And I think this is why people are saying it is a 50-50 fight now, because we can see the deterioration in Canelo. Like, say what you want about William Skull. Canelo looked poor in that fight as well. Everyone's like, oh, William Skull ran. Well, Canelo didn't cut off the exits. Canelo wasn't great himself. Canelo's punch output was horrendous. So we can clearly see the deterioration. That said, he is the naturally bigger guy. I just mentioned the fact that Crawford's put on size, but the naturally bigger guy in this weight class is Canelo. That has to count for something.
Boxing analyst Ada Ladipo reminded fans that Canelo isn't the same unstoppable force he once was. He pointed to the Golovkin rematch in 2018 as Canelo at his peak. Since then, while still elite, Alvarez has shown signs of slowing down. Sparring young killers like Jaron Boots Ennis might be his way of sharpening up again. But Oladipo questioned whether today's Canelo still has enough to handle a prime Crawford.
You know, I think that Crawford has the ability to outbox Canelo. You gotta look at it. And that Canelo's older. Crawford has the ability, but he's small, you know, and he can look bigger Crawford could look bigger in the weigh-ins and all that stuff, but it's always the difference. When you get that fight with somebody, you can tell. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel fought him, the twin. He fought Crawford, and in all the stuff, the weigh-ins and the press conference, Jamel looked like the bigger man. You know, his head, his neck, everything looked bigger. But when they got in the fight, you can tell. You can see who really was the bigger man. And I think that's the same thing. Crawford is putting on weight, but it's not weight. Like Canelo had the weight already. He doesn't have to put on muscle. He doesn't have to do that. He's already big like that. But I think that Crawford does have the style. He does have the style to beat him. If you look at the people that beat him or gave him troubles, Irislan, DeLaura, Ostertrout, Floyd, and Bivol, you know, they gave him trouble and stuff like that. And Skull moved around a little bit too. So I think that Crawford has that. But I don't know how Crawford is gonna respond when he gets hit. Same thing with Jamel. Jamel was undisputed at 154, and Canelo hit him and shit. Jamel was like, hell no. Jamel took a knee, you know. So it's a big difference. And Crawford had that one fight at 154, and he didn't, you know, Madrimov would touch him up a little bit. And this is nowhere close to Madrimov. You talk about Canelo. Now, if it was just another bigger guy, I would go with Crawford. But you talk about a great. This might be. I mean, people might kill me for it, but well, not really. But this might be the best Mexican fighter ever. One of them, at least, right? You talk about Canelo and Crawford going up against him. So the only thing they have, but I would say the only thing he has going for him is he's a skillful fighter, and Canelo is older.
Throughout the fight, watch, and he usually slows down between 6 and 7. You slow down. That's a fucking rat.
That's what you've been seeing in these last couple fights from him?
I mean, yeah. Fuck yeah. I done seen him slow down, going into the later rounds, and I done seen his ass get outboxed.
Brian McIntyre, and I will say this openly, is one of the best trainers in boxing. He absolutely knows his job, and I know he knows his job better than I know his job. So take my observation with a grain of salt. However, sometimes I get these things right, and I think that Brian McIntyre is making a miscalculation. Now, what do I mean? He basically said that one of the biggest advantages that Terence Crawford has over Canelo Alvarez is that Canelo Alvarez slows down, and that he says that after round 6, round 7, that Canelo Alvarez usually starts slowing down, and if he slows down against Terence Crawford, that is going to be a very, very huge mistake, and Terence Crawford is going to be able to take advantage of that. All right. First and foremost, let me say this. If it was the case that Terence Crawford was fighting Canelo Alvarez at 104,
but is known for closing strong in the championship rounds, and that's when he does the most damage for the trainer. This fight is all about stamina. If Canelo fades, Crawford will seize control. So what do you think? Is Canelo walking into the biggest risk of his career? Or will he prove the doubters wrong against Terence Crawford? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more fight breakdowns.